Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
She really thought she ate that. But you know what I didn't see in that ad? Any actual beliefs or policies or positive things about her that anyone should support. Up next, we got to talk about a story that I have been watching with interest over the last few days because I love me some Jasmine Crockett. You know, of course, I'm referring to the Democratic star congresswoman who MSNBC and CNN love to prop up and put on TV constantly. When I say I love her, obviously I'm being sarcastic. She is a bombastic progressive, but she's not so far left. Actual true lefties don't like her for some of her views. But she is very much, solidly pushing the Democratic narrative and mainstream positions. And she's one of the most toxic and divisive and brash figures that they have on that side. She loves to cuss. She loves to say like very lowbrow insults about people. Frankly, in a lot of ways, she reminds me of Donald Trump, which is so hypocritical because, of course, they're supposed to be against that. They're supposed to be standing up against Trump and resisting him. And then, half the time their hero, Jasmine Crockett, sounds kind of Trumpy in the way that she speaks because it's so lowbrow and so vulgar and so personally, I find her so distasteful. And then she's constantly ranting about like mediocre white boys and all this stuff that you just would find it to be almost an act of self-harm for the Democratic Party to lift her up as some sort of leader. But they've done that. And now she is running for the Democratic nomination for Senate in the state of Texas. So she actually thinks she can win. And say what you want about Jasmine, that girl's got self-confidence to the point of narcissism and egomania. Again, giving Trump. But she is now running for Senate statewide in Texas, of course, rather than her one district that was blue. I believe it's been redistricted. So that's why she can't just run for re-election. She's running statewide, and the ladies over at The View are singing her praises and seem to think she actually has a chance, which is how you know they just have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to political analysis. First of all, I want to show you guys Jasmine's big launch video for her Senate campaign. Tell me what you notice about this. This is just her mean mugging the camera while Trump quotes about her play. Let's listen.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Guys, she really thought she ate that. Like, she really thought she cooked. But you know what I didn't see in that ad? Any actual beliefs or policies or positive things about her that anyone should support. She's just running as the person Trump doesn't like, who also wants to promote abortion and doesn't like guns and wants to restrict guns and rants about mediocre white boys, now elect me Texas. That's her pitch to Texas voters, that she's going to flip the Senate seat blue for Texas. I'm Trump's biggest enemy. He says a lot of funny, but half of them are true things about me that aren't very nice. And I'm pro-choice, I'm vulgar, I crap on white people a lot, and I want to restrict guns. What's not to love for Texas voters? The whole thing to me is like, as somebody with just a basic, I am no expert, but I am, of course, have been a political reporter and analyst for years, and so I have a basic level of understanding about how politics works in this country. It's so bizarre, and it's so obviously doomed to fail. This upcoming midterm election is almost certainly going to be a big win for Democrats, because this is what always happens. When one party wins the White House, their voters get complacent and the other side gets really energized. And so the next midterm election, typically you see a big surge for the other party. So you would expect Democrats to overperform, even in places like Texas, though it's unlikely they might actually flip the seat, but they could at least be more competitive. So it's possible that Jasmine Crockett does relatively well while losing this seat, But the idea that she's going to be the one to do it seems so harebrained to flip this seat blue, even with all the wind at her back, if she got the nomination because of the midterm dynamic I just told you, is so ass backwards and crazy that it's just like whatever consultants are, and I actually heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that Republicans were leaking polls suggesting she was the person to do it because they wanted to run against her, which I totally understand why. Like, this is a gift to Ted Cruz and John Cornyn and any other Republican running statewide in Texas that she is in the race because she's such a divisive figure. And already I've seen people online being like, they're all just racist, blah, 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 blah. It's not that. Sure, I'm sure some people are racist against Jasmine Crockett because she's a black woman, and I think that's terrible. I don't support that. But she is a uniquely divisive human being, and she regularly says horrendous and ignorant things. So there's plenty of reason to not like her that has nothing to do with being racist or sexist. Of course, though, the ladies of The View are the luminaries of our age. Love her and think she's the best thing since sliced bread. Let's listen to them discussing it. And only one of them, Alyssa Farah Griffin, who is used to be a Republican operative, has any sort of sane take on it. Let's listen.
This is my frustration. If purely being against Donald Trump was a winning strategy, Dems would have beat him in 2016 and they would have beat him in 2024. I would have loved to hear, I'm Jasmine Crockett and I'm going to fight for affordability. I'm going to fight for the working class. I'm going to bring manufacturing back. Talking about issues, Texans aren't looking for you to take on Donald Trump. They just want competent leadership for the state.
Texans are plain-spoken people, just like everybody else. They know that the economy is going down, down, down. He's underwater with the American people. His approval rate is 39% or something, and with Hispanics, it's 38%. And she assumes that they read and that they can see that the economy is in the toilets.
I just felt like it was about her and Donald Trump and not about the people.
I agree with that, but that's just one campaign. Give the girl a minute.
Okay, we'll give the girl a minute, but she gets to choose what she launches with. And she launched with the ad we played you. That's just Trump saying how dumb she is. So she could have chosen to highlight anything to define her campaign. And that's what she went with. I think that's really abysmal political strategy. And she's going to have to offer some sort of positive message. You cannot just run as, I'm not Trump. That does not inspire people to the polls. Now, to some extent, like I said, there's going to be momentum in the Democratic Party's favor in the midterms, but this is a uniquely divisive candidate who is obsessed with promoting her own image, building her donor base, and lifting her national profile, maybe so she can run in 2028 or be a VP candidate in 2028. She doesn't give a crap about actually flipping. I mean, I'm sure she would love to, but she is entering this race. No, in Texas. I'm sure she'd love to win, but she knows she's not going to, or that it's very unlikely at least, and that she's entering the race anyway, having made a deliberate calculation that she can exploit it to build money for her super PACs and her aligned super PACs and her donor list for campaigns and all that. It's deeply cynical, but they just love her because she says nasty things about Republicans and white people and Trump, and they just eat it up like candy on Halloween. It's ridiculous. Here's another clip from The View discussing this.
Well, I loved it. I thought it was terrific.
So, sorry to pause her right after she starts speaking, but that's kind of the problem. You, an out-of-touch, ultra-liberal, elitist, daytime TV host in New York City, loved Jasmine Crockett's opening ad. That is not, in fact, who she needs to convince for the Senate election in Texas. But I'm glad it made you happy.
I wanted to see that kind of energy. I think we need an opposition party. I don't think we need business as usual. I think Zohran Mamdani proved that. I think that that you would have said, years ago, there's no way that a black senator and a Jewish senator would be the senators representing Georgia, but they are. So I think
how about a black president?
How about a black president? There have only been 14 black senators in the history of this country. Only 2 black governors in the history of this country. I think she could be the 15th black senator in the history of this country. Remember, Texas has 3 million black voters, the most black voters in the country. More than Georgia, more than Florida.
So again, this is just almost an embarrassing level of political analysis, but these people get paid millions of dollars a year. That's what bothers me about The View so much. Not that they're terrible people, not that they're evil, anything like that, but just that they're so bad at their jobs, yet they're so highly paid and so many people listen to them that it makes you bitter if you're someone like me, who of course I'm doing well for myself and I have no complaints, but like just the opportunities that are afforded to people of such incredible mediocrity can be very frustrating for outsiders and independent creators who, could do exponentially more with so much less than these people have at their fingertips. Anyway, though, to compare Jasmine Crockett running statewide in Texas to Zohran Mamdani, for example, running in New York City makes no sense because New York City is an extremely blue city. She's running in an extremely red state. Same thing with Georgia. Georgia has shifted to like a purple state politically. It's not like Texas. And even then, it's just not comparable because they talk about like all the Latino voters in Texas. A lot of them aren't going to vote for her. A lot of them will vote Republican. They just don't really get it. And they just like Jasmine Crockett's style because she perfectly appeals to the MSNBC audience, right? The kind of MSNBC wine mom audience loves Jasmine Crockett. But that is not, in fact, who you need to convince to win a statewide election in Texas. And it is really comical but sad because I actually think we really need a coherent and competent opposition party and movement to Trump right now, but we don't have one. We instead have the Democratic Party. The Democrats are rallying behind such a uniquely obnoxious and divisive figure, and that so much of their associated media apparatus just has no idea how things work and is so woefully out of touch with the entire country. Other than that, they're doing amazing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, all of that. And that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will talk again real soon.